going to ask you a question that I've asked every single guest here in Davos. 6.5% growth. It's not bad, but is it good enough?
See, we are targeting 6 to 8% consistent growth over 5-7 years. That's the kind of economic thought that we have. There will be cyclical variations over quarters, over a year or so, but the consistent growth rate, 6 to 8%, that is what we are targeting.
So 6.5% then is in some ways the bottom end and an underperformance?
Well, as I said, in this range, there will be variations, obviously, right?
Right.
But as long as we are getting 6 to 8% consistent growth rate over the next few years, it's good.
It won't happen automatically. What do you hope the government will do to take us to the upper end of that band?
We have had a very good investment program, and the way we have our Prime Minister's economic thought, his economic thought is based on 4 pillars.
Yes.
Public investment in social, digital and physical infrastructure, focus on innovation and manufacturing, inclusive growth and simplification. These are the 4 pillars of his economic thought, and that has given us good results in the last many years, and that is going to continue to give us good results in the coming years.
This may not be your sort of immediate or direct purview, but do you think that to move to 8% we might need a looser fiscal policy? Or do you think that some of the heavy lifting will have to be done by monetary policy? Or would you say it will just be organic?
Listen, all the 3 levers, the fiscal policy, the monetary policy and the credit in the system has to be managed in a very nice, harmonious way. Mm-hmm. We cannot say fiscal versus monetary or monetary versus credit, right? It has to be seen in the holistic sense. I would say, looking at the way our RBI has managed and the way the Finance Ministry has done a very comprehensively good job at managing all the 3 levers in a very nice way, we will continue to get the results that we want.
So you don't expect, because we are 2 weeks before a budget, and the reason why I'm pressing on this is that you don't think that this is occasion for a fiscal policy push of any kind?
Listen, let the budget come.
Okay. You are the government representative here in Davos, so I must ask you that question. You don't think, I mean, you're an expert at this, so you don't think that we need a fiscal policy push at this time?
Our fiscal policy push of about 11 trillion rupee investment is reasonably high level. Simultaneously, there is a lot of focus on the private investment, which is coming in manufacturing, which is coming in many services, which is coming in GCCs, which is coming in the housing sector. All that is, in any case, adding to the entire thing. So we are 320 trillion rupee economy today, 31% total investment. So that means about 90 trillion rupee investment is happening. Government investment of 11 to, and if you add the state and the other effective, total capex is of the order of 16 trillion rupees. Mm-hmm. Balance, all that is coming from the private investment. So that is working well, and I think that momentum should continue. We are seeing very good jump in the rural consumption. We are seeing sectorally very balanced kind of growth. Employment generation is of the order of 1.5 million a month, formal jobs, 1.4 million a month formal jobs. So I would say that we should stay course, and we should do more simplification, which is what we are doing right now. Lots of laws taken out of the statute book, new laws being written. So the reforms in the legal structure also is very important for the economy. So all that is happening in a very, I would say, a harmonious way. So.
And should not be changed. That is as close a view I will get of the budget as a citizen. But this is going to be an exceptional year, and the reason I say that is because we've already seen this in the last couple of weeks since President Trump took oath, that there will be a lot of policy volatility. And that will impact trade, it will impact fund flows, and it will mean that countries like India will have to find ways to keep the machine chugging at the speed that they want it to keep chugging. How concerned are you about the ill effects of some of these policies, such as tariffs or a change in fund flows, on India's growth story?
One thing which we should look at and we should consider is, over the last 10 and now almost 10.5 years, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, he has brought a major factor in the way the world looks at India. That major factor is trust. That relationship of trust, whether it's with Europe, whether it's with US, whether it's with Japan, so many different activities, the way our foreign policy was conducted, the way our economic thinking has been executed, it's very clear that the entire world today looks at India as a trusted country which respects IP rights, which is a democratic country, a very vibrant democracy, which believes in the values that many of the societies look at as most important values. So I would say the trust will outweigh any of the negative impacts. But of course, we must calibrate our thinking and our response as things happen.
You've had phenomenal success in the electronics manufacturing space. Are you concerned, for instance, if some of the tariff changes, and President Trump has spoken of imposing tariffs on India during his campaign, and as recently as yesterday spoken of the BRICS grouping and imposing tariffs on the BRICS grouping of which India is a member? Hence, I ask you this question. Are you concerned that the success you've seen in electronics manufacturing, which is export-led, which sources components from China, will get disrupted in any way because of these tariff changes potentially?
If such changes happen, we'll have to calibrate our entire policy, entire structure. As of now, I don't see that as a major threat because, one, we have a very strong talent base, very strong design base. That is one competitive advantage that we have. Second, as I said, India is seen as a trusted partner by US and by a large part of Europe, I mean the entire Europe. So these factors combined will continue to give us that advantage. We are about $120 billion production now. We hope to reach 500 billion production in coming 7-ish years. And that will also create, and we are also working on the component ecosystem now. So getting the component ecosystem in India would mean a lot of these uncertainties get hedged, gets mitigated.
Okay, so do you think that maybe your government is likely to respond like China has done? We heard from the vice deputy of, in Davos yesterday, where he said that China is keen to import more. Do you believe that India might also look to mollify President Trump by seeking to import more from the US, by reducing certain tariffs?
Of course, there will be discussions on commerce. There would be discussions on what we sell, what we buy. All those things will happen. They are already happening.
Any specific
I wouldn't like to
developments that you could point
like
to saying, but India will seek to reciprocate and mollify President Trump so as to spare itself from any kind of adverse tariff action?
All relationships are based on mutual respect and mutual trust.
So we will look to cut customs duties? I'll put it as simply as that.
I wouldn't like to respond in that way. I would like to say that yes, all discussions will happen looking at the holistic needs of both the countries, and accordingly we'll take decisions.
Okay, speaking of geopolitics, I want to ask you one more question. Bloomberg has reported this, that large companies like Apple and others have found it a challenge to be able to source components from China, source sort of trained personnel from China. I know this is a question you get asked often, but what is your ministry and government doing to help mitigate that situation?
So if you look at today, apart from the final product, the value chain and the component and the module ecosystem, there are so many Indian companies which have developed over the last few years, where they've gone up the learning curve, they have established themselves as very reliable suppliers to large iPhone and other smartphone manufacturers. So that is a trend which is already there. And as I said, we are focusing on getting the entire component ecosystem in the country so that the passive components, the sub-modules, the active components are part of the semi-conductor program. That entire component ecosystem gets developed, and countries have taken, at least our country has taken very consistent stand on this, consistent efforts on this have already been made. Sure. So I don't see that as a very big risk. Yeah,
but Minister, to be able to build the factories that actually manufacture the components, the capital machinery, much of it comes from China. And from what we understand, China is blocking sort of the movement of some of that machinery to India. China is blocking the movement of trained personnel that can operate that machinery to be able to build those components. So I'm wondering if the government is in conversation or looking for alternate ways to mitigate this situation.
Of course, there are conversations going on, and of course, there are engagements on this. These are matters which every government wants to engage with every other government. So I wouldn't like to get into the details of that.
When might we see a resolution?
What is important is that while we are developing the component ecosystem, there are many machines which are today designed and built in India. I can give you some examples. In the lines that are being built for iPhone let me not take names, but many of the capital equipment which were earlier imported are today manufactured in India, designed in India and manufactured in India. That's what the point I was making is, our country has a very significant design capability.
Of course, yes.
And that's a very big strength. Our country has very important talent pipeline. That's a very big strength. There are geographies which look at cost as the only point which is advantageous for them. Here we are looking at cost when there's a cost element, there is a design element, there is a talent element, there is a domestic market element.
Sure.
So combine all these four factors and you'll find that it's a very significant advantage we have.
And that will take the medium to long term to develop, and for that, sort of Atmanirbharta, as the Prime Minister says, to develop in India. In the immediate moment though, and this is not just in the electronics industry, there are many players, and hence why I'm pressing on this question, many players saying that we need the government to be able to speak to China and ease this process.
I hope it will ease.
Okay, but you have no news to share with me on when it might happen. Okay, you spoke of component manufacturing in the country. Anything that you can itemize for us on how you hope to be able to help, let's say for instance Apple and the iPhone production base to expand significantly, besides the PLI schemes which now everyone in the world is fairly familiar with?
Wait for a few weeks.
Why?
We are working on this scheme. It's improper for me to share more than that. Let the scheme be finalized. The entire component ecosystem thing be finalized. Then I'll discuss about it.
Can you give us a sneak peek at the contours of it in any fashion?
No.
None whatsoever. Okay. The third issue that I wanted to bring to you, and again, this is connected to geopolitics. Are you concerned that there might be some clampdown on H-1B visas? And I do know that Indian IT industry has considerably de-risked itself from that situation, but nonetheless, you think that it might be disruptive to India?
I think President Trump has also spoken that talent which is coming from across the world, including India, is a very important talent for US economy. So I think it will work out well.
So no big concern on that front either?
At least the IT industry has been feeling very, of course, when things change, we'll recalibrate our stand, but as of now, the IT industry is feeling reasonably confident that they'll be able to manage through.
Okay, one final question. You put out rules on data privacy, and there is an age of consent that you have put in the rules. This age gating, how far do you think you might want to take it? As far as what Australia is seeking to do, or somewhere in between, and how effective can it be made?
So we have attempted a very unique techno-legal solution here. We have used virtual tokens in multiple applications that we have in our digital architecture. And we thought that instead of having a hard-coded stuff like what Australia has done, it's much better to have a more nuanced approach. The approach in which we look at the use cases which are harmful for children and try to protect the children from those use cases.
Okay.
Our approach is that innovation and the benefit of technology should be harnessed to its maximum, right? So children who get the benefit of technology, let's say in education, let's say in learning, let's say in getting exposed to the new technologies, in expressing their creative talents, why should we deny the children of that? That's why we have kept this very unique way where we are attempting to use
Right.
virtual tokens, which will be very use case focused. It won't be a one brush paints the entire thing. It's going to be very, very focused and very nuanced way of child gating.
Would it be fair to describe this as an experimental approach? Because the trade-off in this could be effectiveness, right? And I'm guessing that's an sort of well thought through trade-off at this point in time.
In the world of technology, things evolve every week, every quarter, every month. So that's why we didn't hard code anything in our digital personal data protection bill and the rules. We have kept it very principles based. We have kept it minimalist. We have kept it non-prescriptive. We have kept it in a way that it evolves with the technology, it evolves with practice, it evolves with the way users and the regulators use it.
Okay. Minister Vaishnaw, you get asked a lot of questions on electronics, IT. These are all the, the bright new industries to talk about. Not enough questions on railways. I know it is a gigantic task to reform the railways. Can you enumerate just one or two or three things that we can look forward from the railway sector in the course of this year that will change not just the traveller experience, but the way you're putting capital to work in the railway sector as well?
Absolutely, and railway is a very important part of the economy.
Yes.
The cost of logistics can be reduced only by having larger share of rail transportation, because rail transportation is close to, it's like 40% of the road transportation and 95% less polluting.
Yes.
So it's very important to have rail transportation as a significant part of the economy. Our Prime Minister has put very big focus on expanding railway, number one. Number two, on electrifying it. Number three, on getting the new technologies, right? So expanding, last year we added 5,300 kilometers of new railway tracks. To give you a perspective, countries like Belgium, Switzerland, the network is 5,000 kilometers, right? So adding that kind of network every year. We have electrified practically 97% of the railway network by now, and in the 10.5 years we have electrified 45,000 kilometers of railway network. That's more than the network of Germany. So it's very large effort which has really helped the railway network to be able to meet the demand of users significantly better than what it was 10 years ago. So last year we carried 1.6 million tons of cargo. That's huge. And the incremental cargo that we are adding every year is very significant compared to the years before that, right? Like it used to be 5-10 million every year addition 10 years ago. Now it is some years it is 100 million ton addition, some years it is 40 million ton incremental cargo addition over a large base, much larger base, right? So that means we are able to cater to the demand in a significantly better way. The passenger demand also we are meeting in a very significantly better way, right? So last year we carried 695 crores, so just short of 7 billion people. So, and we are adding that this year also it will be significantly more than that. So increasing capacity.
But you've made changes there, right? So the feedback seems to be there aren't enough trains for general passengers, and then the distribution has moved more towards the higher paying luxury routes, right?
No, it was a wrong narrative to be, and let me clarify that. See, when you have LHB coaches, which are good, safer coaches, then you have to have power cars. So that's why this distribution had, some people started questioning it, but the distribution has always been 2/3 non-AC coaches and 1/3 AC coaches. That has been the distribution.
And it remains that way.
It remains that way.
You haven't changed the proportion in any fashion.
But we have added now a special program for general coaches, so that more and more people who would like to travel when they are not able to reserve a ticket, they should also be able to travel. And especially the low income families should be able to travel. But apart from that, we have also taken up a program for 4 new types of trains.
Okay.
Vande Bharat chair car, all of us know about it, right? Vande Bharat sleeper again, now done, tested, testing in the final phase. Amrit Bharat trains are like 22 coaches, 11 coach sleeper, 11 coach general.
Right.
So that is like 1,000 kilometers, 450 rupees. And the seat quality, everything is absolutely like a Vande Bharat train, right? So we are focused on making sure that the citizens at the bottom of the pyramid, the families which are having lowest income, they should also be getting very dignified travel service. And these are the efforts we are making for short distance, for mid distance, for long distance.
Is there a number I can put to it so that it's easy for people to understand, saying this is the additional capacity you're adding to general travel, or for,
So general coaches we are adding in this financial year by 31st March, we would have added about 1,500 coaches.
Okay.
And
that would be what percentage of the total coaches, sir?
that would be of the total coaches about 12% or
12%.
yeah,
So
or maybe 9%.
Okay,
9%.
so you've enhanced the general category
Significantly.
capacity by almost a tenth.
Yeah.
And in this particular fiscal, and in the next fiscal, will that continue? Another tenth is
that will continue simultaneously. Other trains are also getting built,
Okay.
so it's going to be more or less 2/3, 1/3 in that range. A bit of more skew towards non-AC coaches, but then actually we are adding both. We are adding both almost equally.
Okay.
Yeah, because we
And
need
the deployment of Kavach?
It's rapidly progressing.
What's the milestone for this year, sir?
See, we finalized the design of Kavach 4.0 July 2024.
Right.
And after that, we have taken up a program for 10,000 locomotives to be fitted with Kavach, and about 15,000 kilometers to be fitted with Kavach. This coming or the calendar year 2025, we should be able to do about 4,000 odd new locomotives to be fitted with Kavach. And the experience of the initial deployments is very, very good. The drivers, they say that this is a Kavach for the family, because you can see the signal 10 kilometers ahead, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the Kavach applies the brakes automatically. It's a very good design, very good technology, significant, and there is a lot of interest from other global players now.
Yes, of course.
They would like to export it in a few years.
Okay. One final question. What are the key milestones for you to judge that your semiconductor mission is achieving the success that you sought for it and is justifying the large investments? Because there is a very big incentive or subsidy that the government is putting into this. What are those milestones that will justify this large amount of public money that's going into building out India's semiconductor capabilities?
First, getting the fab in place.
Okay.
Second, absorbing technology, understanding technology
Dates,
very well.
give me, and you have timelines that go with this?
Yeah, the
Like
first fab should be ready by 2026 end.
Okay.
And and 5 semiconductor units that we are right now constructing.
Right.
The first chip should roll out in August or September this year,
Okay.
2025. And understanding the technology of 28 nanometers and above, and absorbing and then moving on to the higher nodes would, I would say, in the time frame of 26 and 27.
Okay.
And simultaneously, we would also now like to look at the next phase, which is getting the equipment manufacturers, getting the chemicals and gas manufacturers to set up their bases in India. Right now, they are looking at joint ventures. Today morning, we had the semiconductor roundtable, and it was amazing vote of confidence in our program. People are feeling very comfortable with the approach.
Any new investments?
Yes, there would be many new investments.
When are you likely to make announcements on that?
Generally, I would like to make the announcements after the investments have been finally signed.
Okay. But these are in the chemical space, as you were pointing out, and the broader ecosystem?
Both in chemical space, in equipments, and in design.
And can you give us an idea of what scale these investments might be of? In the region of a few billion?
Let me not speculate on that. Let the numbers come as
But surely you've already studied what it will take to set up any capacity minimum required for this. So would it be in the region of what, $5 to $7 billion?
Let me not speculate.
By when do you think you might be able to?
Let the announcements, let actual work being done, and then of course you would come to know. Bloomberg would come to know, right?
But by when do you expect to be able to make these announcements?
Then we are also looking at 25 odd products to be designed.
Okay.
And IP rights within the country, because
this is chip design.
Yeah, chip design.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are working on many of these interesting concepts. Let's see. the progress is good so far, and the industry is very supportive.
Okay, so that's the 5 milestones that you will be judging the success of your semiconductor mission. I can try one more time though, if you can give me an investment figure of the additional investment you expect in this space. All right. Minister Vaishnaw, thank you very much for your time. Thanks very much for speaking to us here at Bloomberg.
Thanks.
Thank you.